Okay, I don't really want to have to do this video. This is a painful video to make, and you know what? As I'm diving into this brand new topic on YouTube, this is one that's it's paining me that this is what's making me step into this field. Football tactics analysis. This is something that I do every single week when I watch football, but I've never recorded it and put it online. But I think right now, with the situation that my club, Liverpool, is in at the moment, I think it's time that we do just take a little bit of a delve into how we're playing at the moment. Now, disclaimer before I get into this, if you're somebody who's like, oh, we should sack Arne Slot, and this is, you know, this is not the video for you. He is a very good manager, and he showed us that last year with incredible tactics. I think maybe there is an element of overcomplicating things this year, when last year it was more just let's just keep things as they were, and obviously that came with an unexpected but very well-rounded consequence of us actually winning the league, because we had such a good team that could just play. And I think this year, with all of the different signings, I think we've sold too many players in one go. I think that this is what is causing a bit of a shockwave throughout the team, you could say. So we're calling it a crisis, a blip, whatever. I think it's a testament to how well Liverpool have played in the last 10 years or so as to why this seems like such a massive deal. And to the people that say, you know, we started the season with a lot of wins, we did get very lucky at the beginning of the season. It's not like we started the season playing incredibly and now we're playing awful. If we're being honest, we've been playing this way since the beginning of the season, since the end of last season. But end of last season, we was drunk because we'd won the league, so we put it down to that. That being said, we can't keep going on losing games, and I think we need to make a couple of, at least I would make a couple of tweaks from what I've observed. So I've pulled in our starting 11 from the Brentford game, which obviously we don't particularly want to talk about too much because it was a pretty painful game to watch, really, wasn't it? If you're a Liverpool fan. If you're a Brentford fan, I'm sure you're loving it, and I'm not taking anything away from Brentford here. They played incredibly, but we was poor. It was very, very poor. And if we go back to the Man United game as well, I could pull in the team that we played for that. It's not too dissimilar from this team. It's just too easy to pass through us at the moment, isn't it? And if we look at our team, the balance really is very attack-minded. We've got Mamardashvili, of course, is in for Alisson at the moment. I don't think anybody would pick that. And I think that there's maybe that as an element as to why we're losing so many games at the moment as well. Not that Mamardashvili is a terrible goalkeeper, but he's not Alisson. And he's brand new to the team. He plays a completely different way to Alisson as well. And rather than us playing to Mamardashvili's strengths while he's in, we're trying to make Mamardashvili play to how Alisson plays the game, which is the ball distribution from the back, trying to play out, putting the keeper under pressure. And I don't think he's as confident under pressure as perhaps Alisson is. Whenever Alisson has the ball, even if there's players literally next to him, I'm like, oh, it's okay. I'm not worried. I'm not worried that he's going to lose the ball or put it into a dangerous position or out of play for a throw-in. I'm never worried about that with Alisson, whereas Mamardashvili, every single time he's got the ball at his feet, I'm thinking, oh, just kick the ball away. I don't know why we don't just get him to just boot the ball out. But whatever. Is what it is, right? We can't change this right now. Alisson is injured, and as soon as Alisson isn't injured, there's no doubt in anybody's minds Alisson's back in the squad. Moving on to centre-backs. Again, I'm not going to take too much time to talk about this because we don't really have much choice. We didn't manage to get Gahey, so it's not like we can bring in somebody like him. I feel like these two are put under a lot of pressure this year, and I don't think either of them have played to the standard that they played last year. If I had to lean more, I'd say Konate's had a worse season up to this point, but the last couple of games he's played better, which is always annoying because when players are playing rubbish and then they play really good, you then don't want to criticize them because they're now playing good. But do I think we should be dropping him for Gomez or something at the moment? With Gomez's fitness, potentially not. I think right now we should just keep that exactly as it is. And if we can have any stability in the team, let's try and keep it at the centre-backs because, again, Mamardashvili at the moment. Right back position, obviously Frimpong is now injured, so there isn't really much choice there. I do, however, still think that even with Frimpong in the team not injured, I would keep Bradley at the moment, just simply because I think he's a better defender, and we shouldn't really be taking any defending players out of the team right now when that's really, quite honestly, what we need to focus on at the moment is not conceding within the first 5 minutes of the game. And I think Bradley, we'll get onto Bradley in a moment, because how he's playing may be a little bit of an issue. But Bradley in the team, definitely. As for left back, Kerkez, I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't think Kerkez should be in the team right now. And this isn't a criticism of Kerkez as a player. If I think anybody saw how he played last year at Bournemouth, he was incredible. I just think that the way we are needing him to play at the moment, and unlike with Bradley where we can talk about how he's playing, Kirkez, I think at the moment isn't the answer at our left back position, and I think that we should be bringing Robertson in. If we look at the Frankfurt game, which we can't take as any sort of dream game, everybody scored 5 goals against Frankfurt this season. It's not just us. Anybody who's got a good striker has, because they're very, very open. But I think that Robertson brought not only just a little bit more confidence at the back, I think Virgil's more calm with Andy there than he is with Milos, but also his runs down the left-hand side. He hasn't given Robertson a Premier League start yet, I don't think, apart from that time when he came on, when Kirkez got a yellow card in the first half. I think that we should be playing Andy at the moment and potentially bringing Kirkez on near the end of the game to try and get him to settle into the team, because I don't think the way he's doing it at the moment, just throwing him in the deep end, is doing anybody any favours. Moving into midfield, this was the lineup that we chose for the Brentford game. Obviously, our midfield has been constantly changing this season with injuries and form and fitness and whatnot, and trying to fit this guy in, Wirtz. I think that Jones and Szoboszlai in midfield actually is a decent pairing in midfield. I don't think McAllister has been particularly great this season. I don't think he's been the McAllister that we saw last year, for sure. If it was the McAllister we saw last year, then he should be straight in the squad at the moment. But I think that this season, when Jones has come on for McAllister, that he's actually made a big difference. But I think obviously Jones is going to need to be playing more of a defensive role this season, because Szoboszlai has been making runs galore at the moment, hasn't he? And we'll get onto him in a moment. But yeah, I don't think there's anything too worrying about these two playing in midfield. Whether they should be playing in this system and whether we should be playing in a 4-2-3-1 at all is another question. But I'm just simply going through players to start with. Wirtz, I thought obviously he had a challenging start to the season, as you would imagine, as a 22-year-old coming into a brand new country in a brand new league. And I hear a lot of talk about his price tag and he should be performing this and he should be performing that. What we have to remember is that players don't choose their price tags. This is decided by the clubs. And he was obviously worth that amount of money to Leverkusen. That's why Leverkusen wanted that amount of money. But that wasn't Wirtz's choice to go for that amount of money. Just because he played superbly well in Leverkusen doesn't mean that he's suddenly got this massive burden that he needs to play extremely well for us because he's got 120 million pounds in the bank. He hasn't got that, obviously. Obviously, there is a duty that he needs to play well, but I think that we needed to let him settle in, and I think that he is now starting to find his feet. I do think his position is something that we need to talk about, though, because I don't think that central attacking midfielders are working in the Premier League at the moment with this whole low block system that everybody's playing. I feel like this role in the central attacking midfield position has just died out as a whole in the Premier League. If you look at other clubs, even Arsenal are struggling to play a cam. I just think that in this position, it's far too difficult for anybody to make any creativity or any runs when you're playing low block systems constantly. And I don't think us blaming the other teams for playing low blocks is going to particularly work, because their job is to try and beat us. And so far, that's working. So with that said, we need to move on to the front three, because what I'm about to do is going to completely change that. Gakpo has been one of the best players for Liverpool this season. And anybody who says he hasn't, or that he's boring, or that he does the same thing every time, yes, we know Gakpo will run up, turn in, and try to shoot. But what we're missing out on is all of the other creativity and the runs that he's made, and the passion and the determination that this guy, and the fight that he's had this season. I genuinely think he's one of the most underrated players in the Premier League right now. Cody Gakpo needs to start in this team. Ekitike the same. Even if Isak wasn't injured right now, Ekitike for me is a starter up front. He is incredible. The passion he's shown this season to fit in is incredible. As for Mohamed Salah, yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it, this season with him, because I love this man to bits, and it's upsetting to see him going through such a bad time. Obviously, mentally, he's not in a particularly great place. That's what it looks like. And I think we've seen that when he's come on the pitch this season. For example, in the Frankfurt game, Wirtz could have had a goal. We've seen this so many times now, replayed over. It's been memed on. Salah had the ball. Wirtz was literally through on goal. Salah could have passed it to him, and he didn't. And that's not the Mohamed Salah that we've seen in our entire time at Liverpool. He's never been a particularly selfish player. And he's always, I mean, even we go back to the Mane days when there was that little kind of conflict there, supposedly. Salah would always look to pass the ball, even if he was in a great position. And I don't think Salah has been quite as aware of people around him this season as he has in previous seasons. And I think that him occupying that right mid position actually keeps Wirtz a little more quieter than we want him to as well. So that brings me into my really big point with this system. I do not think that 4-2-3-1 is working for Liverpool at the moment, simply because it's light on the midfield. We're basically playing 4. And if you look at our, because obviously this is the lineup shape, when we're attacking, our shape looks to be a little bit more like this. And it's actually quite damaging, because you've got essentially, whenever you look forward, in fact, sometimes it actually looks a little bit like this. If you look at some of the freeze frames, I don't know if I'll be able to get any in the video, but if you look at some of the freeze frames, when you see that when we're attacking, we have a line of like 5 players all just on the front line. And I don't feel like there's enough depth in the attacking at the moment in terms of how players are playing in position, because they're all just trying to get across, and there's not enough passing lanes, which causes pressure here. They then lose the ball to the opposition. The opposition can run, and then who have we got? We've got Jones, if he's actually stayed back and he hasn't pushed forward. We have Jones or Gravenberch, and then our centre-backs, essentially. Sometimes Bradley will be up here, and Robertson, it was Kirkes, will be up here. You've basically got the entire of the attack of the other team against 3 players, if we're lucky. How do we fix this? Well, I think we need to not overcomplicate it whatsoever. And if I'm honest with you, Salah comes out the team for me, and we put Wirtz onto the wing, and we play Gakpo, Ekitike, and Wirtz up front. Now, this isn't a stationary position for him, because now we're not playing, you know, for years under Klopp, we played as a false 9, so our front player here would actually dip in, and it would be our wingers that ran ahead and shot. Now, obviously, under Slot, it's not. It's the traditional way of playing a 3 up front, where the striker is the striker. We actually have an all-out striker now, which is great. Ekitike can hit the ball into the net if you give him the delivery. That is a fact. You know, we gone of last season where you could lay one on a plate for Nunes and he'd still put it over the bar. The chances are, if Ekitike's here, and there's no one in front of him, that ball's going in the back of the net. It's going to happen. And he's not getting that at the moment. And that's why I think Wirtz, with his creativity, he needs to be out here. I think that he's getting too strangled in here. And I also think he's butting heads with other players. He should be out here on the right. You could even play him on the left. I know he played on the left for Leverkusen last year, and he was great. But obviously, as I said, I haven't done that because Cody Gakpo has been crucial this year, and he makes those runs. And I still think that he has a place on that left wing. So therefore, I'd push Wirtz out onto the right. And also, we did play Wirtz on the right against Frankfurt, and he was very good. I thought that was his best game. In midfield, I am simply saying we go back to a 4-3-3. It worked for us for how many years under Klopp? And it worked for us mostly last year. We didn't play a 4-2-3-1 the entirety of last season. We sort of switched between a 4-2-3-1, but a lot of the time we were playing a 4-3-3 and then just sort of changing it a little bit so it was more like a double pivot in midfield, and then sort of a Szoboszlai was sort of in front here playing as a creative player here. But traditionally we lined up under a 4-3-3. I think we need to do that again. Obviously, Gravenberch is still injured at the moment. I think for the current period of time, while that's happening, we need to bring in the legendary Endo. He hasn't got basically any play this year, which is, I think, a testament to how we've been playing. If we look back through last year, it became that sort of meme with Liverpool fans that when Endo came on, the game was sort of settled, and we wanted to see out the game. If we look at this season, we've not seen out a game at all. We have pretty much been fighting till the very last moment to either try and score the winner or not concede the loser. And Endo hasn't really had a chance to come on and, you know, control that midfield. I think when Gravenberch comes back in the team, he goes into that CDM position there. But I think for the time being, this is how we should be lining up. Mamardashvili at the back, Robertson left back, Virgil, Konate at centre back, and Bradley on the right. Endo should be dropping into a CDM role, and he'll literally be playing as a holding midfielder. I think Gravenberch has been given the licence to roam well up the pitch since his goal at Everton, and that's great. when we're winning, but we're not winning. Right now, our defense is a problem. So I think when Gravenberch comes back, he again needs to be playing as a CDM and dropping back to help out Virgil and Konate. Because far too many times this season have I seen goals gone in, and I've looked back at the replays. Virgil and Konate have got this massive gap between them in the middle, and Gravenberch is up here. And there's not a problem with Gravenberch. I'm not saying that. I think he's an incredible player. I just think that the way he's playing at the moment, or being asked to play, pushing up the pitch, I think there's too much emphasis on attack. So I think Endo in a CDM position. Szoboszlai and Jones. I think when it comes down to it playing in possession of the ball, what it'll actually look like is probably more like Szoboszlai here, and then Jones and Endo kind of sitting there, ready. So in kind of prospect, it still will be that 4-2-3, 4-2-1-3, I guess you could say, but I'd say 4-2-3-1. But out of possession, Szoboszlai can just drop back ever so slightly, and Endo goes straight back to help with the centre-backs. And I think Jones's priority as well should be to cut off these passing lanes here, because Bradley needs help. Bradley's a great right back. I think he's going to be very good for us in the future. I think we saw that last year, and it's easy to sort of start hating on young players like him. He's inexperienced, he's immature when we're not winning games. But I think if we remember last year when we had Trent, massive boots to fill. Trent was injured for quite a few periods of last season, and Bradley stepped in absolutely fine. He did that incredible tackle on Mbappe. I mean, he is a great player when he's got the help around him. I think that our right back position is going to be very crucial at stopping teams from getting through at the moment. I think in defense, we need to be very disciplined. I think we need to keep a very disciplined form, which we haven't seen. And rather than leaving it to 3 players at the back, I think that Bradley needs to be defending here. Konate needs to be here, but we also need Endo to be helping out. Jones as well. Jones is very good at floating. Jones is incredible at running around the pitch and providing a passing lane. He's so good at being a player that does that. He's like a revolving pass machine. You know, if Konate's got the ball, he's here. If Bradley gets the ball, he's here, creating that triangle. He can pass the ball. He can pass the ball to Endo. Then he's here, so that there's another triangle. Szoboszlai gets the ball. Then he's here. Do you know what I mean? He's incredible at doing that. So Jones floating around there is great, but I think we just need that CDM position there. Obviously, this isn't our most ideal lineup, and I will change it in a moment to give us our most ideal lineup with the players that I think are our strongest, fit or not right now. But I think this is the game that we should be taking into the Villa game at the weekend. It's just a change that needs to happen now, because we just need to start not losing games, even if we're only winning games by sort of 1-0. I think we need to get back to the defensive discipline before we can start attacking loads. Now, I realise I've said that this should be our team going into the weekend, and I realised that Jones did go off injured this weekend, and there's a good chance he won't play. I think the obvious then in this position here is that the player that I've said he should be replacing at the moment comes back into the team, and we have McAllister in midfield. So this weekend we'd see a midfield of Szoboszlai, McAllister and Endo. I think that's a pretty well-balanced midfield that we should be playing this weekend. But then, as I said, you know, once Curtis Jones is back, I think at the moment, unless, of course, we see an incredible performance from McAllister. If he gets back to the work rate that he was last season, then obviously he should be in the team. McAllister was probably one of our best players last season by a mile. But this season has seemed to be lacking in energy, lacking in passion, and not really making as many chances and taking the tackles that he needed to do last season. He was great at cutting out situations last season, and people have just been running past him this year. So I think that Jones does fit in the team at the moment, but for this weekend, potentially he won't be fit. So yes, McAllister will come into the squad. Okay, so let's talk about our ideal 11 then at the moment. I'm going to keep to this same formation for this, because I do genuinely think that the double pivot 4-2-3-1 playing 4 attacking players is too much. Obviously, Szoboszlai is an attacking player. I understand that. And in this system, we are still playing Szoboszlai, so there are still 4 attacking players. And also, we're not playing Szoboszlai at right back, which he's unfortunately had to do a lot this season. And I think the poor guy just needs to know where he's at. And he knows where he's at in this position because he played it the entirety of the last season, arguably next to McAllister. He knows what's happening. So for our ideal 11, obviously, Alisson comes back in from Ahmedashvili because he's our number 1. I still keep Robertson at left back. I still keep Virgil and Konate at centre back. And I still keep Bradley at right back at the moment. For our team, I think that he brings more balance. I think in some of the Champions League games where we can take more risks, potentially Frimpong can play a higher role here. But Bradley, I think, is a more rounded right back at the moment. And I think actually that when he needs to come off, Gomez should be slotting into the right back position, because I think Gomez plays as a defensive right back very well. Obviously, he started off as a fullback at Liverpool. He can play that role very well. And also, I love Gomez. I think he should have more time in the team, but he just simply doesn't fit in at the moment. When it comes to the midfield, obviously Endo, again, Gravenberch should be coming into that position. He's the number one choice there. But again, without the license to roam and attack, I think he should be playing as a more rounded central defensive midfielder, sticking more to the back and dropping back when needs to be. Essentially a third centre-back, because if we do start playing Bradley a bit higher, or Robertson's making a run, say Robertson's made a run down the left, he loses the ball. Now we've got an imbalance. Verge can go over and Gravenberch can tuck in there, or Verge can stay there and Gravenberch can cover for Robertson. So I think him being there gives us a better opportunity of being able to defend those challenges that everybody is trying to get us on at the moment, which is on the transition. In midfield, Szoboszlai, and again, I am gonna put Curtis Jones in the team as our ideal at the moment, which again will probably raise some eyebrows for people because McAllister has been so solid for us. But I'm going based on current form. I do think that Jones is a better player in that position at the moment. I do hope that McAllister can get back to the McAllister we had last year, because if he does, he definitely comes in. I haven't even mentioned Szoboszlai because he's been our player of the season. There's absolutely no prospect of Szoboszlai losing his position. Even if he had a bad game, he's got enough credit in the bank for this season to not play well for a game and still keep this position, whereas I think other players potentially would get dropped. Szoboszlai, all day long, this position stays as him. I'm going to keep Gakpo on the left, and I'm going to keep Ekitike up front, and I'm going to keep Wirtz on the right. Salah, again, I'm going off current form. Salah just doesn't seem to fit into that position at the moment. I think Wirtz could show us a little bit more of what he can do on the right. And Ekitike, again, stand out as a striker this season. I want Isak to come good, and I think he will come good. When he does, we have an interesting challenge on our hands of trying to keep them both happy, because I think playing two strikers with this system, again, we'd lose a midfielder. I think at the moment that creates an imbalance, so I think we have to play one striker at the moment. So when Isak does come good, that does introduce an interesting dilemma of trying to keep those two happy. But at the moment, Ekitike has been miles better, and Isak probably just needs to be integrated off the bench at the moment, maybe half an hour at the end or whatever. Ideal Liverpool lineup, and Liverpool lineup that we probably can take into this weekend. Let me know if you disagree, agree in the comments. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. I've heard a lot of people talk about playing a back five at the moment. I don't know about that. It may work on FIFA, but I'm not sure if it's really Premier League ready at the moment. If we just look at what it would look like if we played a back five, obviously Gravenberch is in that position at the moment, but I'm just moving them to see. Again, we would be creating a very light midfield. The same way I don't think that we should be losing another player up front is the same reason I don't think we should be losing another player at the back, because this is where the problem is at the moment, is there is no midfield. Players are running through our midfield. So I think that playing a CDM here is as good as playing a back three, a back five, sorry, a back three, but I'm saying back five because of the fullbacks. I think that playing a CDM here is going to give us all the benefits of playing with a back five, but also with the added benefits of being able to cut out in the midfield first. So I think that maybe there's similarities between the people that are saying we should play a back five and the people that are saying we should go back to a 4-3-3 with a CDM. I think it's potato at the end of the day. The problem is that we need another defensive player in here, and the only way to do that is to lose an attacking player. I think this is what we need to do. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and also give this video a like, because I might do more of these. I've got some other tactical breakdowns that I've been looking at. But yeah, as I said, love to hear your thoughts below if you agree, disagree, and maybe I will do another one of these in the future. And I hope we can win. At the time I'm recording this on Wednesday, right before we're about to play Crystal Palace tonight, I hope to God that we win that. And I hope to God that we win at the Villa game on the weekend. But I don't know when I'm going to upload this, so I could be eating my words already. So anyway, I'm going to end this video here, and I'll see you in the next one.